All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody,
I'm Talon.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm Shawenta.
and today we're going to be discussing Marvel Zombies, the complete collection, with a variety of writers and artists because it takes place across a variety of series. But
Mm-hmm.
I think primarily, not to get through every name on the credits list, there's Mark Miller, Robert Kirkman, and Reginald Hudlin for writing, Greg Land, Sean Phillips, and Francis Portella, with Mitch Breitweiser for pencilers. And I think that that's as deep as I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Sorry to the inkers, letterers, and editors.
And all those
I
people
don't
who
know. I
worked
do want
on
to.
the Fantastic Four and Black Panther.
I said the writers and pencilers for Fantastic Four and Black Panther, and
Mm.
I do
also
want to bring up one editor who is the Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio.
That is
Even though
no.
he's not the actual Karate Kid, but people still call him the Karate Kid.
Oh, I see. Gotcha. I was confused by that too because I was like, wait, Ralph Macchio? It sounds very familiar.
Well, yeah, in the foreword, like Robert Kirkman, who's like the intro to the book, is like, "Oh yeah, the Karate Kid came and talked to me about doing a zombie superhero book," and like
Gotcha.
he keeps calling him Karate Kid. I'm like, is this like a Robert Kirkman joke? But it's no. His name is Ralph Macchio, and apparently he's just made a name for himself as the Karate Kid,
well,
even though he's not the Karate Kid.
no, because the actor who played the Karate Kid was named Ralph Macchio.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the connection. It's not just nothing. It's just that they happen to be two prominent people named Ralph Macchio, and one is more famous than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, though, the other credit that I was going to say was Arthur Sundem, and that's the cover artist for most of these books.
Gotcha. And that's for the collected edition cover art, not the individual issues, correct?
No, it is for the collected edition as well as a lot of like Marvel Zombies 1 through 5,
Okay.
Dead Days, etc.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think Greg Land does a couple of the covers for like Ultimate Fantastic Four and stuff, but
Yeah.
I think Arthur Sundem does the rest. Yeah, it might be Sudem.
Gotcha.
Not sure. So yeah, I just wanted to mention him. So yeah, what did you guys think?
I definitely like the first 5 issues more than the like addendum, like revisits, I guess, to the universe.
The prequel?
Yeah, it was a prequel.
Dead Days. The prequel, and then the
oh, you mean Dead Days? Okay.
When they go to like that scroll world because they're doing weird, like
that's like an epilogue.
Yeah,
all that other stuff did not like as much as the first couple issues.
Gotcha. Really? I was definitely like Fantastic Four, best, and then the actual event I was like, eh, and then after that I was like, okay.
I was gonna say I didn't like the parts as much with the Fantastic Four. I like the parts with the zombies for sure.
Gotcha.
I don't know. We can go into that later.
Yeah. Something. Oh, go ahead,
Talon. Like I will say, like, I guess we can go into reasons why we don't like it later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I was just gonna say that one thing that was like revealed to me through some of the bonus material in this complete collection was that the Ultimate Fantastic Four arc that the Marvel Zombies were from was called I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it. It was like crossover, I think was what it was called. And so everybody was all like, this is going to be when the Ultimate Universe first sees the real Marvel Universe. You know, they were like really leading people to that thought. especially with like, you know, the zombie Fantastic Four pretending to be like basically a more usual Mr. Fantastic. You know, it was really like leading into that idea, and I think that gave me a little bit more appreciation for that, like almost like in a historical sense. Like I can just imagine like the people reading this issue by issue and getting excited about that, and then be like, zombies.
Gotcha.
I should say, like, I think it helped a little bit the fact that I didn't actually know some of the characters. So it required the comic to introduce me to them. And also, I mean, I do tend to like spin-offs more because, you know, obviously there's this sense. It depends. But some of the really good ones will go for it where they're like, anything can happen. You know there are actual stakes. Like, yeah, we'll kill them off. Who cares? This is a spin-off.
Okay.
We'll do it to, you know, heighten everything. And then, so yeah, the fact that I didn't know some of the characters, so I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't know what they can do. Anything is possible. And, you know, the comic was allowed to decide where things, like, how far things could go. As far as, like, I mean, like, Cage. Like, I was reading some of the interviews in the back, where they're like, you know, his skin should be unbreakable, right? That's why we're gonna make Last Man on Earth. But don't think about it. We forgot, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I don't know that plot hole.
It's true.
Gotcha. Or like, I thought that Wolverine like had adamantium bones. So like,
He does.
Then that was also.
I mean, he does have adamantium bones, just not like adamantium connective tissue that like holds his muscles to the bones.
Okay.
That's why, like, I hate the Wolverine, like, thinking of hitting, like, hard stuff, because, you know, just, like, throwing your teeth at stuff, I don't know, like, biting into something hard, like, you just feel it through the rest of your bones. That's gotta hurt all the time. Yeah. But I guess adamantium, so.
Why doesn't he have metal teeth?
He should bite everything.
Yeah, he should be the James Bond villain Jaws.
I just occurred to me. I'm like, they didn't cover his entire.
Aren't they
skeleton.
different though? Like, aren't your teeth made out of different things than just like your bones? I'm not a doctor.
I don't know.
They have a live root, but they are bone, aren't they? Because they have a core inside, but like outside is what gets worn down.
Yeah, and they're connected to the skull, so yeah, and he has an adamantium skull. I don't know.
This is true.
Wolverine plot hole. You heard it here
figured
first.
it out.
Does he have metal? Does he have metal inner ear bones? Does that like mess with his hearing?
I have no idea.
Should it?
It's very important for the Marvel zombies.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. All right. Anyway, though,
reading too far into
that scene. That is the scene where his claws come up through his rotting flesh is one of.
And
that
the
was
rest
disgusting.
of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of like my favorite moments, but also so disgusting.
I think the worst moment for me was Bruce Banner.
That's
Don't like that.
Oh yeah.
That's probably my favorite moment, and then Wolverine's second, right underneath. It's just like, oh.
I mean, like, I do like the change where they make it, like, Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk when he's hungry, and then when he's been fed, he then becomes Bruce Banner. But, like, they do, like, the, I guess, slight amount of, like, plot hole math where it's like, the Hulk is bigger, so he'd have a bigger stomach than Bruce Banner does when he's a person again. So, like, when he shrinks down, the food that's inside him doesn't shrink down. So, that should be a problem. And then they make it a huge problem.
Just
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
just seeing
I don't know. Is it a huge problem as far as like the plot wise? I don't think it is.
I mean,
but, like,
technically it's a slight solution in universe, because there's like, man, we can just eat the food that we're kind of digesting again and again, and then we won't turn into like mindless zombies. Which is good, I guess, but it's also like super gross.
It is interesting to think about how they're zombies, because I totally wasn't expecting this kind of zombie, a zombie that can think for itself.
Gotcha.
We first get introduced to that, the fact that Reed Richards has tricked Reed Richards in another universe, like, my loving children that I've had with Sue, should come join us for reasons. And then, what is it? Zombie world.
Yeah.
When we first get introduced to that, I thought that I went, oh, zombies that can think and talk and reason. I don't know if I like that. Isn't the whole point of a zombie that they're mindless? But I think it found a good medium between the two. Because them, like, theorizing through it and being like, well, gonna have to eat again soon. Especially that thing with, was it Wasp? Is that the character?
That's a character,
thinking of, or Ant-Man?
Is that Ant-Man?
Giant Man?
Which one?
Giant Man.
Giant Man. Yeah, I mean, same character, different.
It's still Hank Pym, but like Hank Pym might be like the worst when it comes to that.
I'm confused.
Well, because Hank Pym is Ant-Man, Giant Man,
the really
Yellow
giant
Jacket.
guy.
Yeah.
The guy who could get big and then sometimes wasn't big.
Yeah. Is that the character you're thinking of?
Okay, wait. So what's his name?
Hank Pym.
It's Ant-Man, Giant Man, Yellow Jacket, or just Hank Pym.
It's Giant Man. Sorry for the confusion.
Wait, if they were talking to him in universe, they'd call him Giant Man?
Or Hank Pym.
If it was like the second Tuesday out of the month when he didn't want to be Yellow Jacket or Ant-Man.
Don't be confusing right now, Jake. He's had a lot of different identities in his history, but I think in this universe, he was Giant Man.
The important part is he's decided to slowly kill Black Panther.
Eat him. He didn't want him to die.
That was...
Because the end result was going to be the same.
It pretty much just turned everybody into, like, serial killers. It's not even serial killers, because, like, just killing... Some of them could do that pretty easily, just kill everybody. But, like, they want to hunt them down alive and eat them.
Yeah.
Because when they're alive, it's yummier. It's, like, not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, like, almost in its own category, almost. Like, I mean, it is a zombie, but, like, you are kind of right that, like, I think a lot of people would agree that, like, if you take away mindlessness from the definition of zombie, it stops being zombie, But also it's like, well, what are they? They aren't serial killers. They're not, like, but... Yeah, I think that at least to Robert Kirkman... Perhaps a zombie is singularly defined as having hunger for human flesh that is insatiable.
And
very
they
much
are
curse-like.
Dead.
Yeah, and dead.
Rotting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily have thought of mindlessness as part of the zombie definition. The first thing I would have thought of was eating brains,
I totally, like, you culminate all, like, famous mainstream zombie media. And the things that are usually the selling points as far as, like, fear factor is, like, hordes of them. Like, yeah, you can take on one, but they're never ending. There's so many of them because there's so many people.
Right.
And then, they're mindless. You can't talk to them and reason with them. They won't stop at anything because of that singular desire. Yeah.
Which I think it's interesting how Black Panther talks to the Wasp. And, like, he's like, okay, you're being delusional right now. Like, you have no stomach. All right? Whatever your desire to eat is, it's all in your mind. And I was like...
He is so nice. I don't care if you saved me. I wouldn't take a zombie wasp with me to safety. I don't know. He's like, this is my friend. She's hard to deal with. That's saying a lot.
Well, I would have been interested to see, like, how they would have played it if that was the idea of how to get rid of these zombies was just to convince them that their desire to eat is fake in their mind.
Just be logical enough to convince the zombies that they should be dead.
No. What Talon's suggesting is immense amounts of therapy for the zombies.
Yes.
It's not a logical argument. It's
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they didn't go in that direction. I guess I'll say that.
So the fact that, like, out of all the, like, non-zombied people in this zombie world, Magneto is able to survive.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I don't know if I would have pegged him as, like, the strongest.
I mean, he is an Omega level mutant. They've said that, which I mean is basically code for very, very, very strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, they've had stories where he's threatened to, like, swap the magnetic poles of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, wasn't that in Ultimatum?
Well, yeah, that definitely he did go through with it in Ultimatum, but I think that they were recycling that from a previous story where he didn't do it.
Gotcha.
Because that did happen in the Ultimate Universe, and I will say that is probably the part I like least about the first 5 issues is that it has to deal with Ultimate Fantastic Four in the Ultimate Universe.
Ouch.
Listen, other than the opening scene where they're like fighting off like the time bandits, where they're like holding the entire human race hostage, like that is cool, technically.
They have the little mud crawler with a gun up to it.
Yeah.
But literally everything else that this Fantastic Four has to deal with, like, is actively the worst. I don't like the Fantastic Car. I don't like Mr. Fantastic actively crossing his fingers behind his back when he's talking to the professor.
I was like, oh.
Oopsie.
I don't like the belly top that Sue Storm is forced to wear. It's bad.
Yeah.
I don't like Johnny being blonde. That's also bad.
Okay.
Doctor...
I think the way it's drawn doesn't help a lot. That art style in particular, I'm not a fan of it. It's very much like People's Magazine put through a filter.
Yeah.
Like...
That's a good description for it. Yeah, because I was reading.
People are always smiling so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Just the glimmering smile of Johnny. Just people are dying, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. I will say
all the stuff that happens
gets a girlfriend.
Sorry, go ahead, Samantha.
The thing getting a girlfriend. Did that have any importance to the plot?
That does.
I thought she was gonna.
Okay, to be fair though, that happened before.
Suddenly.
That was not like issue 21.
I know.
She was introduced.
I'm pretty sure that's like I've seen that before with the Thing, where it's like, oh, I found a blind girl, lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was definitely in the movies for sure.
No. Okay. Let me clear that up a little bit. So definitely, Alicia Masters is a long-standing Fantastic Four character through, like, you know, the history, and basically stays with Ben until the 80s, and then in a weird writing decision decides to marry the Human Torch. Anyway, not gonna go into that bad decision.
Hey, she thought it was Ben.
What do you mean?
She's not blind.
Cut that out. All right. Anyway,
can I keep complaining about the Ultimate Universe? All the stuff that happens with their mom off screen is bad. I don't even know. I don't even understand. Like, between like the end of the first series, they meet their mom, who I didn't know that they didn't know, and then
I thought she was dead.
Yeah, I think it was
like
on
purpose.
At the end of the sequel series, it's, oh, now mom is taking over Latveria. She apologized for all that stuff, pretending to, I don't know what her relationship with Doctor Doom was, but she apologized for that, I guess, and is now running Latveria. And like
she apologized? She was like, oh yeah, I was behind it all. I knew it would all work out like this. I planned it down to the T. But what did you do?
Which technically makes you smarter than both Doctor Doom and Mr. Fantastic, but nobody wants to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's clarify. Does it make it better that the Fantastic Four issues that we read was 21, 22, 23, and then it jumps to 30, 31, 33? Is that right? So, like, we're missing issues in between.
So there's a bunch of time where they just don't deal with the zombies?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't want to read that either.
Or it might have been 28?
Yeah, it's 21 through 23 and then 30 through 32.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, basically like 7
But that
issues
also
missing.
sounds like there's 7 issues where nothing happens to do with like the plot that they've set up. And their mom probably says stuff that doesn't have to do with the plot that's been set up.
Yeah.
But she's behind it all.
Just take that last page out of the first series where they see their mom and take out those like couple dialogue boxes at the end and just make it some random blonde Latvian woman who's taking over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of that last page in the first set of Ultimate Fantastic Four issues,
Sue's face is so dumb.
The reaction of Sue Storm, where she's just like,
so dumb.
"Mom."
Her face is so dumb. Yeah. I hate it.
Also, too, when she's like standing next to Mr. Fantastic, like Reed, so dumb. I also too like that didn't even look like her. It's like, you got a new model.
No, I mean, I'll say it again. Your description of People magazine through a filter is like really, really apt because Do
you like the Reed Richards hairstyle and design?
Oh yeah.
You boy.
Hey.
So much, yeah.
I mean, wait, are you talking about his haircut?
Yeah.
Like,
just in general, I'm just not used to that style. I know we read like one of the Origin Fantastic Four things.
Yeah.
Where he's younger.
But this is the same one.
So weird.
Yeah, this is the same one.
He just looks so weird though. Like, it's probably just the style, because then they show like alternate universe what that Reed Richards originally looked like with like the, I guess, peppered hair.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Just maybe silver streaks on the side.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that look.
It wasn't too bad. Like, I could recognize him and all that. But this Reed Richards, who's like got his hair styled and like the trendy glasses, just being like crossing his fingers behind his back. I won't do anything bad. I promise. Such a dork.
Yeah.
No, okay. Keep in
dork
mind.
Is a good word.
Keep in mind, he's like to me. So he's supposedly 20. I feel like he acts a little bit younger than that, but he's like 20.
I just think visually, like, the whole point of Reed Richards isn't it that, like, he's obsessive about his work, right? And scientist dude, but he just looks too trendy for that. I think it just goes back to the style again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the style, because, like, I think the zombie universe, it hits a good balance, especially for the time, because this was an early 2000s book, of making it seem like it's a 616 light, where, like, it's like the 616 up to whenever this event happened. Like, they got the weird, turns out to be some weird Lovecraft monster that makes everybody zombies. But blow past that. Don't worry about it. I think that most of the character designs in the universe are good because, like, they are obviously recognizable for the characters and they're, like, kind of timeless designs, except for Iron Man's design. Iron Man's design is the only one I really have a problem with, and it's the weird horns on the faceplate. Don't like it.
Well, I was just thrown off because,
like, thinking he was somebody else.
I was thrown off because, like, that's an old suit. Like,
it's super old.
Yeah. So I'm like, was that really his suit during this time? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so one thing that I read in one of the interviews was that who was that? That was it wasn't Mark Miller. It was who was the artist on the 5 issues and so on. Sean Phillips. Basically, he really loved the 70s Marvel comics, so he used a bunch of 70s characters and 70s designs. So that's why Giant Man still has the little Ant-Man antenna wisps on his costume, and Iron Man looks like that, and Luke Cage is a major player because Luke Cage debuted in the 70s. All that stuff is...
That makes a little more sense.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
I mean...
When you don't let him draw the pretty faces that he thinks he wants to draw, because he said he likes to draw pretty girls. I disagree with his definition, but... I don't know. Just when you don't let him do that, like, yeah, the zombies are really interesting to look at. Like, you can tell who they are still, but they still are also have the recognizable, like, weird teeth of the zombies, so on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. So Greg Land. So he's the one that did Ultimate Fantastic Four, and I do really like his zombie work. Just because, like, it's so, like, gross, especially, like, the maggoty, like...
Oh, yeah.
Part. You're like, yeah, I was just like... Ugh.
That was
just the pages devoted to them, like, eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then, yeah, I also really like Sean Phillips' work on the zombies, too, because that has its own, like, charm and quality, where it's, like, a little bit less gross, you know? Like like there's lots of gross actions, like we mentioned earlier, like with the bone or the Wolverine bones and the legs splitting from Hulk's stomach or Bruce's stomach, and stuff like that. But that's all in the action, not as much in the art, you know.
Okay.
But Greg Land has some really horrific art, but in the good way, you know, not like. But yeah, his quote unquote pretty girls are not pretty.
Okay,
they're also just like immersion breaking.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that they are. I don't enjoy looking at them.
Okay. And is that
it's not like
I think they're a very narrow, like. They're pretty from one angle, and like if they make one face, I think really appealing characters who are pretty should be appealing from all angles. I don't know. They're just not really that expressive to me. Like they kind of look like a photograph copy.
Yeah, gotcha. And I think that's
been like photoshopped to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm not trying to like really just like put Greg Land down here, you know, like. But I do kind of wonder, given in like the interview he was talking about, like he'll like often, you know, use magazines as reference, which I mean, I know using references is like totally normal. Like I'm not like putting that process down, but I do wonder if he like really did take copies of like People magazine and like, you know, like just like kind of modeled a lot, like more than, you know.
I mean, it's just not my taste. Yeah, he probably likes certain pictures a lot, and so copies really closely to that kind of style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's certainly, I was going to say consistent.
Well,
but sometimes he isn't, so.
Well,
anatomy's off sometimes.
I'll say that, like, aside from certain poses that they do, like specifically talking about Ultimate Fantastic Four, like, yeah, some of the faces are really dumb, but in general, like, I think me and Greg Land probably have similar tastes, because I really dig that art.
It's just like you'd see, like, I think when they went to Latvia or something, or no, it was one of the first scenes where like the Thing is on a date with Johnny, double date with Johnny. Misspoke. And there's just like some of the side characters there that are like pretty women or something, and they're just so distractingly like he has put a lot of work into these side women, and they're also like very carbon copy kind of thing. So he knows what he likes, and he does that one thing.
The sequel series in the Ultimate Universe is probably the part I like the least. Just because,
you gotta be more specific.
Just because, like, the art... First of all, we're going to have a Fantastic Four story. What are we going to do with Johnny? We put him in a hospital bed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You're
and
pregnant.
then, like...
He's like, I always knew this would happen. That was great.
And then the other side of that is, like... Okay, so Johnny thinks he's going to die and be, like, patient zero to the end of the world. And so he's going to call all of his loved ones and people we barely know and apologize. And then we can't actually kill Johnny Storm, so we'll get better. And so, like, how should we, like, set the end of this, like, character journey for Johnny? Have him learn nothing.
Learn nothing. I mean, it's in his character to be, like, jokey like that. So not necessarily that he learned nothing, but I do... Yeah,
I didn't enjoy
don't know. So much. I think also sort of the writing in some of those scenes is very one-sided. There's not a lot of character back and forth that feels natural to me. Like, even with his phone conversations, you see him doing it. But it also just sounds like he's doing all the talking for the most part. He's going on these monologues about how sad and sorry he is. And then, like, he puts down the phone and you see, like, he's got a sad face on and they've drawn some tears on his face. So you know he's sad. So you're like, okay. And then he goes and lays in a hospital bed, like you said.
Yeah, just like of the four, I think I would like least to hear about contemplate their mortality is probably Johnny.
Okay.
I do really like, what's that one part with Doom?
Dr. Doom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Victor Von Dam.
I think no, maybe it was Nick Fury. Maybe it's Nick Fury in that one part where they're like, oh, don't worry, Reed Richards is on this, Mr. Fantastic. He's not known for his mistakes, and I think it's Nick Fury who's like, actually, how did he become Mr. Fantastic?
Yeah.
That was perfect. I love that.
And hey, they have a reason. It's Victor's mistake.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's both of their mistakes, and that's like part of their character flaws. It's like being unwilling to admit.
Yeah. I don't but see, I don't know if that's even true because, reading the origins, I'm like, I don't know whose mistake it actually was.
Well, yeah,
I think that's part of the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
ambiguous, impossible.
It's like the question of Ultimate Thor. Is he a god or is he human?
Well, no, that's different than that because it's ambiguous, but people still got hurt and had their lives changed. They both should take responsibility because they don't know. But instead, it becomes a blaming competition.
Also, yeah, I do have to question the logic of keeping an evil version of yourself alive is, like, kind of fine.
Because,
like, maybe you need, like, an evil version of yourself to, like, think ahead of whatever threats. Like, so, like, I can see the logic there. But why are you going to keep an evil zombie version of yourself alive? Like, that whole, like, moral debate that takes place in the middle of this comic, where, like, people are trying to convince Reed to, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't have an evil zombie version of yourself. And then Reed takes the moral high ground. It's like, they're still living beings, man I'm talking to. And it's like, no, they're not.
If you want to kill them, do it yourself. And they're like, okay. He's like, no, don't do that.
I mean, they are undead. That's not living.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Reed's prime argument was in what we were referring to earlier was like, they look like zombies, but they don't feel like zombies when you're in their presence because they think and reason.
You're able to talk to them, yeah.
I
don't know. Once your evil version starts threatening consistently that they're gonna break out, we're gonna do it soon, and you're like, well, better not do anything about that.
I will say, I enjoy.
Sure hope he doesn't go through with his plan.
I enjoyed what he actually did. Oh, yeah.
I totally,
talk about dumb guards.
That was great. Like the moment like they start to disappear, I went, that's not teleportation.
One of them's literally called the Invisible Woman. How dumb are these guards?
Like, they disappeared.
To be fair, I was under the impression that she could only make herself invisible. I did not know she could make other things invisible.
No,
she has some powers that I don't totally know she had about like influencing other people's like popping their optic nerves or something. That was just, I was like, what is this? I didn't know she had that.
Yeah, basically I think she can make things invisible that she's not touching. It is more difficult, and it has to be within, like, a certain range, but she made their optic nerves invisible so that light just passed through it instead of onto it or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that is what she can do. And also, I would say, yeah, maybe it wasn't the most clear, but they did at least partially make it like, because like the guards at the beginning, or not the guards, the terrorists, the people that traveled back in time to kill humanity,
time bandits.
Yeah, time bandits, sure. They, like, basically she made a point of saying, like, yeah, you didn't remember that I can make invisible force fields, you know? And I guess, yeah, what's confusing there, though, is that it's like, she can make force fields and then turn them invisible, not invisible force fields.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and that kind of creates the idea that she can make other things invisible as well.
I don't know why I thought it was established at some point in the story that like she could influence other things to be invisible. So it didn't surprise me when she made the entire group invisible.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, just like Reed being all oh, go ahead.
What? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, Reed being all like, I can use a ballpoint pen and a piece of hair as a keyboard. I'm like, what?
And then him being like, and I've been using it with our food, and I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But the whole thing.
Like, this stuff with like the food that you give us, like how big did you eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think part of the problem is that cage was way too easy to open. I feel like they should have had to call through like 8 levels of security to get it open.
Yeah,
but they were just like button push and then walked in.
Especially since it was designed to like house the Hulk, which the Hulk in that universe is like pretty dang powerful too. And it's just like, you just had a button push? Just an easy peasy.
Just one button. It's like unlocking your car.
I thought the way that they were gonna get out was the way that the food was coming in. Because I was like, they gotta get that in somehow. A little tube that they're throwing this down.
You could just not feed them too. It's like, because that's part of the problem. Is like they have enough time to scheme, literally infinite time to scheme, and you're actively supplying them. Even if you like don't want to kill them, just don't feed them.
Literally, yeah. Isn't it their minds are clear once they've eaten? So he's just giving them a bunch of study hall time.
Yeah. Please don't plan your escape, guys. But here are things that will actively help you plan your escape.
Pen, paper, things to do when you're not planning your escape, food.
Okay, but so the Avengers, they deal with Magneto, and then from then on there it goes to the Silver Surfer, and then to Galacticus? Is that his name?
Galactus.
Okay. That was escalation.
Man, I will say, like, I kind of wanted them to beat Galactus, but I was not sure if that was actually going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had their work cut out for them, and if Galactus had just been a little bit faster, you know, I mean, especially in Black Panther, we see that they're able to eat a planet easy. They can just like turn it on. They're like, all right, let's do it. Boom.
Yeah.
And it's gone. So if Galactus had just been like, I'm here, you're gone, bye.
Yeah.
Boom. It would have been gone. Story over. But
Man.
he takes his time. Really savors the suffering of his meal, I guess.
I mean, I think with like the Silver Surfer, I think that was part of it, wasn't it? Like, I will personally deal with this. But also, I did not know that eating the Silver Surfer would give them those powers.
Yeah.
And eating Galactus.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, I mean, I can see the thought process, because basically... So the Silver Surfer is powered by the power cosmic, and Galactus bestows that power upon the Silver Surfer. So it's kind of like he's giving Silver Surfer a part of him, a part of his power, kind of. So it kind of makes sense that the only way to transfer that power from the Silver Surfer to somebody else would be to eat him, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I can totally see you looking at it and being all like, I mean, that's what they do, so I guess it works. But like, it makes some sense to me, at least, I guess.
I'm just like, man, they got the Silver Surfer when the Hulk bit his head off. Like, that's just to me.
Yeah.
It's not pretty.
Do you think also, like, they just kind of leave the surfboard alone, which obviously it's not like I expect them to eat the surfboard, but like, you know, like, I mean, in past stories, like Doctor Doom has like stolen the Silver Surfer's surfboard and gotten his powers that way. So I'm like, could they have been like slightly more powerful if they had thought of that, or?
Well, one of them probably. Maybe. Not all of them.
Yeah, one of them. Yeah.
I mean, how many of the zombie Avengers could you have fit on the board?
I also, like, quite a few of them are suffering some major wounds by that point. Is it like Spider-Man's lost his leg?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, after the fight with Silver Surfer, yeah, they really get torn apart. Like, Luke Cage.
Iron Man's in half. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Iron Man's in half. Luke Cage gets his arm cut off. Wolverine gets his arm, well, you know, cut off by his own bones. Whatever you'd call that.
Deboned.
Deboned.
Oh,
I like
that's worse.
Wolverine deboned. Boneless.
No, guys.
No.
It's declawed.
Actuality, yes.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
Gross.
Okay. Gross.
Yeah, that's a good one-word descriptor of this book, outside
gross,
of whatever qualities you want to give or take away. Boy, is it gross.
I'm honestly very used to, like, in some ways, artists making like very grotesque moments appealing. But I feel like the way this artist did it was almost like it was more in depth in that it was appealing, like, you know, you could still look at it and you weren't like, oh, this is ugly, but it was still, you knew it was gross still. Like, I think that's really hard to do, but that was cool. It's like, ugh.
Also, I kind of wanted to take some time too and talk about the Sundom covers, because I just think that they're really cool. It's basically, they use the word parodying when talking about it, and that like seems wrong to my brain because usually that's a comedic sense to me, but like I guess it's technically correct. Is like, you know, they're riffing on classic Marvel covers and kind of like
Oh, I see.
Redoing them in a zombified version. And I actually really liked in the complete collection that there was like little snippets of the artist talking about it in between issues. Because like when everything gets put in the back, I'm a lot less likely to read it. I'm like, okay, I'm done with the story. I'm not gonna read the bonus material. But when it's spliced in between, I'm like, well, I might as well. It's on this page. I'm already here, and I gotta flip it. So, yeah. So I just really liked those covers. You know, they're so cool. Um, I guess the one thing I didn't like that he was a fan of was like putting like the women as like the classic like B movie horror movie kind of like Marilyn Monroe damsel in distress kind of thing. I was like, I think I would have just preferred to see like a zombified version of Sue Storm more often, but whatever, you know, it's not a big deal. It just felt a little out of place to me usually.
I didn't notice that too much with the covers. I definitely noticed it when the first time Sue Storm was introduced as a zombie. I was like, still rocking it, I guess.
Yeah, and he talks about that a little bit. It was like it was a Black Panther cover that he did, and he was all like, "Well, I wanted to keep with the way that I was doing it, but also it just didn't make sense for her to be right next to the other zombies and be a human, you know."
He had to give in.
Mm-hmm.
Surrender.
And they're all painted. That's the other cool thing. Like the one that they did for Dead Days, which is like a riff on the giant-sized X-Men #1. That one is like, they said it was like 9 feet long in real life.
That's a nice size. Yeah, you'd have to do that for that kind of detail, I guess.
And so, yeah, I was like, when they said painting at first, I kind of imagined digital painting. And then I was like, oh, you're painting. You're like with a brush. And paints. So, yeah, I just think that's really cool. Kind of recreating that.
I'm just going over pages that I found the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I do. God, that first part where they introduce the alternate universe Reed Richards, who's, you know, projecting himself as how he looked when he was alive. You don't know he's a zombie, tricking Reed Richards, younger version,
Ultimate
into
Reed
taking
Richards.
him. Yeah. That part where Sue storms off and he's like, just like my Sue. And I thought that was the father of Sue and Johnny at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a little weird. The mom's called Sue too. But no, it was just Reed Richards being like, Sue's just like that. She'll be furious. You know how they are.
Yeah, that was like so like.
And then his son being there. Now, my daughter and Sue are off shopping, but this is my son. Just those moments. Which is why I mean, it's so dumb, which is kind of why I love that it turns out to be tricking him. Like, I think that's kind of why it's so fun, because it's too picturesque.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just telling him what he wants to hear, you know? Like, Ultimate Reed Richards is just, like, begging to talk to somebody that, like, understands his problems to someone, and then, like, so it's just, like, he probably just, like, instantly spilled the beans and gave zombie Reed Richards a bunch of stuff to work with to make him, like, he's like, oh, yeah, you know, that sucks in your universe.
To do a cold reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty good. Okay. Actually, speaking of things that Reed Richards does, in
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Dead Days.
Yeah.
He infects himself and the team.
That was a big lead that got buried. I feel like does that ever come up in the original?
No, I don't really think it matters either.
Yeah, I mean,
they are all on board once they become zombies.
Yeah.
It just seems like that 5-minute period where they're not all zombies yet seem to be pretty contentious.
I mean, that's of course, yeah, that's easy to say, right? Like, you didn't like the cult till you joined it, did you? No, that whole thing where they're like, man, maybe Reed Richards is really smart. He wanted to become a zombie. Maybe he knows something we don't. But no, it's just Reed Richards being like, the next step of evolution. I don't care if I'm in endless pain and never stop hungering. I'm gonna change.
And it is, evolutionarily, I'm just gonna say, complete dead end. You're never gonna make new, non-zombie offspring. You're literally just gonna eat everything that you get on Earth. Yeah, exactly.
Make offspring. He's like, we don't. That's one of his selling points. He's like, we don't have to procreate anymore.
Then you don't evolve. That's not the next step.
It's not
Whatever.
part of evolution. Then, yeah.
I don't want to get too upset about the misunderstanding in this fake universe with this fake character about evolution.
Honestly,
Reed Richards just really backstabs everybody, doesn't he? He's like, well, chosen for you anyway.
See, the weirdest.
I've given you.
Oh, the weirdest thing to me was when Reed was like, "Yes, eat me, thank you." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, no, stop it."
That hurts.
I don't know if he said this, but it's like, it feels so good.
He was doing stuff like that.
You think?
He's like, I just want to feel it.
Can Mr. Fantastic move all of his nerves to one point in his body?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
He's so gross.
It'd be weird if he could, but also it'd be a little weirder if he couldn't, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am going to say, if you want to infect your team with this weird super virus that you know that they don't want to get infected by, I think that the onus should be on you to infect yourself. And then you have to infect everybody. You don't get to infect all of them and then get them to infect you. That's not how it should work.
No.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
I think that, Mr. Fantastic had to have just known that he couldn't take down Sue.
Yeah, probably. Or
Okay,
Thing.
wait.
How is Mr. Fantastic gonna, infect the Thing?
Just wrap around him.
Yeah, but you can't, bite into the stone.
Just go inside his mouth. Bite his flesh.
What if that's also stone?
It's not stone.
You don't know.
It's flesh.
You don't know.
Where did he scratch the Thing? Where he's like, I've scratched you all and given you this virus. How did he do it without the Thing noticing if the Thing is, mostly stone?
Through the little cracks in the stone.
Oh, yeah, through one of the furrows.
Weird.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I was just thinking of his tongue.
What if he just scratched the stone and that was it?
No.
Yeah.
Then he would have gotten infected way sooner.
Yeah.
Okay, but that goes into the whole, alien Lovecraft thing that's, in Johnny's stomach.
That
They're
confused
he's chosen
me.
he's chosen the strongest of us all. It's like, Johnny? Him?
Yeah.
No.
That was
Must be an ego boost to hear.
I will say that I think I enjoyed this. Where the creature is extracted from Johnny, and then it finds the most powerful person, and then it's like, Thor, get out of the way. Nope, Dr. Doom.
Well, Reed in Dr. Doom's body.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about the Freaky Friday mind swap.
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic and Dr. Doom go through.
Dr. Doom does that to be mean, and then he's like, I'm a man of my word. You can have your body back after messing up the incantation.
Yeah. See?
Oh,
that proves that it was his mistake.
It's dumb.
Reed Richards is perfect.
Yes.
Because it seems like that, at least my understanding of Dr. Doom as a character would be much more I would feel much more proud walking into the situation and fixing Reed's mistakes as myself, not me pretending to be Reed.
Well,
even if I do make a mistake.
Even him admitting that I want to be you. And I thought that was weird. I was like, what?
Yeah. Unless you just want to get with Sue. Like, if you just say you just want to get with Sue, and I believe that.
Yeah, I could see that.
Sure liked holding her hand.
Yeah.
Everything will be fine, Sue, my dear. And she's like, oh, you seem so put together. Like,
okay.
Not weirding you out the way he talks,
right.
Though.
Like, has he ever called you my dear before?
Yeah, nobody talk about the huge personality shift that happened when it was only Victor and, Reed in the room together and nobody else saw. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
That just makes me think of the Thing, like, calling his girlfriend pet names. That was so weird.
Yeah. Also, like, maybe he returns again, but kind of weird to just be all like, oh yeah, and this is like where Doctor Doom, the most famous enemy of the Fantastic Four, dies, He in this universe. He's like gonna go into the zombie universe with this Lovecraft horror in his being, his stomach. I don't know. It's just like, that's where you're gonna put him. Just no real catharsis for that character.
Yeah,
it's just like,
I mean,
I
technically problem solved though, because you have like 10,000 years until the next time the universes come close enough together, I guess, for them to transfer over. Which seems like, again, it's like we need a way for this to not happen again. So very quickly, let's write out this weird dumb.
I felt like that could have gone so badly, but I don't think it's ever followed up, like, the consequences that could have. Because, we, as the audience, know that, like, the rest of the zombies have technically died out, left. Because the Avengers, I'm pretty sure, wiped out everybody and then just were like, let's leave, we got cool powers. Well, what's left of the Avengers? What is it? Spider-Man, Luke Cage...
Giant
Iron Man,
Wolverine,
Hulk, and Wolverine.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Man, all guys, no girls.
So you're
no girls allowed.
So you're telling me that we just killed off Dr. Doom, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more volumes where Dr. Doom's like, yeah, no, not even gonna mention.
I mean, probably not. I'd be very surprised if the Fantastic Four never faced Doctor Doom again.
Right.
But that's what it seems like. So.
Right. No, I'm speaking more as like the people who wrote this. Like, how are you gonna have 5 more volumes without Doctor Doom?
I don't know. It's just gonna be like Victor's son, who nobody mentioned until like, and then it's gonna be like Obadiah Stane's kid in Iron Man.
No. It's Sue and Johnny's mom. That's the new Dr. Dane.
I see.
Okay, as much as I complained about, like, all the pretty girls, I love how she just looks like stereotypical hot scientist lady.
Yeah.
So funny. Just glasses. I'm not behind it all. Okay, but what I was saying, as far as, like, they were like, well, we'll just use the transporter, transport them back to their zombie world, and then we'll be fine. Not to mention the world, the world's gonna deal with it how it is. I guess alternate universes, you shouldn't be, like, messing around in there in the first place. If only Reed Richards listened. But just, they don't know the fact that, God, I don't know who those people in the spaceship are, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they have a name.
They're a bunch of no-names. Like, even if they had names, they'd be a bunch of no-names.
We'll just call them the Asteroid M people.
Yeah, it's Magneto's crew. They're mutants. They don't like people. They went to space because they don't like people.
Oh, they're mutants?
I love that like part where Black Panther, because Black Panther escapes from his horrible, like, situation. Sedatives wore off. That has gotta feel like the worst. Is hobbling away. I don't know how Wasp helped him out, to be honest, actually. She was just a head.
Her head was completely separated from her body. Like, it doesn't...
but she
No.
saved him.
No,
I guess
this is
it's
what
the
she
power
did.
of one-sided friendship.
Her head was
gonna
just
say.
talking to him like, hey, psst, psst.
Wake
That's
up.
how you get out.
I'm really hungry.
It's like,
Could you
stop it.
imagine if that's actually what happened? She was just complaining, not even trying to wake him up, just like, I'm hungry.
The brave little severed head.
Okay, anyway.
It's like the brave little toaster.
Yeah, he gets... So, like, Black Panther, escapes, with Magneto's help to that spaceship. And then that scene where they like tell the one character, they're like, now get him acclimated to this place, and she's like, sure I will, and just does that weird little like look at him, and then of course they end up with a baby like 5 years later.
I was like, Black Panther moves quick.
And then he's with Storm in the other one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a different Black Panther though.
I do like that awkward like. Oh.
Yeah.
So this is who you would have chosen instead of me.
It's like, whoa, wait, first of all. Completely different circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, of course, if you like, you think about it for I'm sure if the characters thought about it for 5 seconds, which I think they did, they would have been like, okay, it makes sense. But like, just on the like instant reaction, it's like, oh, you're not with me in a different.
I do like Storm being like, this doesn't feel great for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that arc with like the Fantastic Four made up of Johnny Storm, the Thing, Storm, and Black Panther is like, that might be like one of the worst Fantastic Four lineups. And B, like, the whole story is set off because of this dimension travel enabling golden frogs?
They're like, maybe the frogs have a mind of their own.
Yeah.
It's like a wacky little kid's adventure.
Mm-hmm. I will say, it felt really weird to be dropped into the middle of an arc like that. Like just no context, just like, we're on this time traveling or space traveling adventure. Like, what?
They're just fighting this weird bug, and then they can't beat the weird bug, so they gotta use these frogs to beat the big bug, and then it brings them to a scroll world for some reason?
Mm-hmm.
How's that better?
Their own Fantastic Four.
Well, no, I'm sure it was just like, hey, frog, get us out of here. And then it just like, okay, here you go.
It's an untested frog, apparently.
True, yeah.
So it's a magic frog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still untested.
Yeah. Yeah. Magic and untested.
Just send the bug to the Phantom Zone, all right? No, not the Phantom Zone. The Negative Zone. Excuse me.
The End Zone.
The End Zone.
Just like, you don't have to rely on magic if there's somebody you can't beat.
What, you think that you can just use the ultimate nullifier on anybody that you can't beat, Jake?
Yes, if you have to.
That's one strong bug.
Well, from what I read, this story takes place like pretty soon after Civil War, so their capabilities might have been a bit, limited.
They were putting superheroes who weren't complying with the Registration Act in the Negative Zone in Civil War.
Oh, okay.
I just want to know why they're fighting the bug.
It
doesn't matter though.
Yeah, if it's not in this arc, it doesn't matter.
It's just why frogs? A, why frogs? B, why is this like the linchpin of your plan? This thing that you completely can't control.
Again, Jake,
It's also like, isn't it like 2 frogs? Like one of them controls time, one controls space.
Nah, I think it was just one.
They're like knockoff Infinity Stones. It's like, it's not even like I'm gonna make a wish, and this wish is going to be misinterpreted intentionally to be like the worst possible version. It's literally just these frogs, like, I don't know if there were like a contracted amount of times that Marvel Zombies needed to appear, but like,
Nah, it's not a contracted amount of time. Everybody wanted them. They were the hot stuff when they came out.
Gotcha.
Man, this was a different time. 2007. I assume when this came out.
Also, we are dropping in on Black Panther 30. So there's like 29 issues before this that sets up why they're using the frog.
Some deep frog lore?
I'm sure.
It's a deep
I can't say you're wrong 100% Talon, but I'm going to say you're at least like 90% wrong. I don't think they talk about those frogs at all.
Okay.
It's just like, so they figure out that the frogs think for themselves, but then they're like, that doesn't go anywhere. They're not like, well, let's reason with these frogs, or they're not like, oh, I think the frogs are thinking like this. Like, why are the frogs doing this to us?
Yeah, it's like,
can you imagine?
Like, I think that they're angry, and it's all like, so what? Give them some like magic frog food, like.
No. Black Panther just holds up the frog statue, and he's like, "What do you want?"
I think I would have loved that panel. Why are you doing this to us?
But also, I kind of liked the Black Panther issues, though, a little bit. It was like, you know, like, I mean, okay, so here's the thing, actually, is that, so I got, the complete collection in print, and it's this thick, so, like, you know, it's got, like, I'd say that's, like, an inch? Almost an inch? Thickness?
It's like 400 pages, right?
Yeah, and so I thought, like, you know, I knew that it had interviews in it and bonus material, but I thought that it was going to have, like, either Marvel Zombies 2 or Marvel Zombies Return, or potentially Marvel Zombies versus Evil Dead, or whatever that crossover is, which I would not have preferred, but, yeah, so I thought it was going to have another Marvel Zombies, story in it because of its thickness, but it did not. It had Ultimate Fantastic Four, it had Marvel Zombies Original, it had Black Panther, and it had Dead Days. And so, yeah, the thing about Black Panther, though, is I've definitely read it before. I just did not remember reading it or what, you know, smaller edition it was in. So it was just like, oh, this is... Yeah, it was like, it was just kind of new to me, and I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. Cody, believe it or not, there is a Marvel Zombies complete collection 2 and 3.
Yeah, I know. I believe you. Yeah.
Of course there is.
I can't believe that the Evil Dead crossover is, like, canon. Like, that is just wild to me.
I mean, they let all that stuff with, like, Conan be canon. So, I mean...
Yeah. I guess so, but, I mean, Evil Dead is, like, a film franchise, though, but whatever. I mean, I won't stay on it for too long, but it was just, it's surprising. And then also, you know, going out of this, the biggest, I think, result of the Marvel Zombies ended up being Headpool, the Deadpool zombie head.
Oh yeah, you're super right.
Okay.
I can't believe it. You're super right. I can't believe I've never connected that before.
Yeah, so basically, around like 2007, 2008, Deadpool the Deadpool comics do a story called Deadpool Core, and it's got Deadpool, Lady Deadpool, Kid Deadpool, and Headpool, zombie Deadpool head.
Okay.
And they're a team of Deadpools.
Okay. What does the head even do?
Provide snarky commentary.
Oh, okay.
Well, we don't have enough of that.
He had
Deadpool's not known for that.
He had a little, like, hat that flew him around, too.
Oh, I see.
I'm so glad you had the part of flew him around, because I thought you were gonna be like, there's a little hat on him too. By the way,
yeah, put like a party hat on him or a cowboy hat, or change it every issue.
I don't know if I've ever wanted to see Deadpool in a team. I mean, you know, he's been in teams that have not stayed together. Great. I don't know. I just don't see him as a team player that much. So like 5 of him ish. I think that's right. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Not sure how they'd work together. It'd be interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I recall correctly, I think they're fighting against other evil versions of Deadpool.
No. That's later. That's later.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't. That's not part of that story. That's,
of course.
That's Deadpool kills Deadpool, which comes after Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe and Deadpool. I can't.
Man, Marvel comics are dumb. Oh man.
Okay, yeah. That's my tangent for the episode.
Gotcha.
I don't think I have ever finished my thought. I keep starting this one thought, and then I like get distracted. The thought is the fact that they're gonna send the zombie versions back, but then those Spaceship M people are like, "Wow, a whole planet for us. We can repopulate it."
Mm-hmm.
And then what if they sent the zombies back? Like, that was gonna be a whole problem, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It didn't end up being a problem that they ever had to address, I guess. So.
I mean, I think that this book just didn't get to that problem.
Okay.
But, yeah. It will be a problem, is
gotcha.
my understanding.
See, that's the thing. Like, once Talon was talking about, like, more volumes, I was like, oh, okay, so this actually goes on, which is interesting, because I was sort of fine with where it stopped, even though it wasn't exactly conclusive on those, like, the new Avengers, the new zombie Avengers going off and ruining planets.
Yeah, that would get kind of boring pretty fast, where it's just, like, I mean, especially where it ends with Black Panther, where it's all like, I guess we can just, like, you know, Galactus these guys, and that satisfies our hunger. We don't have to... We don't have to...
Oh, that's a good solution. We just have to give them entire planets instead of the populations of the planets individually.
Yeah. I mean, it would just get boring, you know, but it's like, yeah, I don't know.
That's the thing, I don't know where they're going to go with it from here.
Yeah, because, I mean, the way that in some of the interviews in the back of the book, Robert Kirkman was, like, kind of starting to talk about it, was that the main issue is that, like, once they return to Earth, they start to be all, like, you know, some of them are, like, have completely accepted their zombiness after 5 years, and is like, yep, this is my life now, this is what I like to do, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And some of them are like, oh, well, maybe I don't have to do it like this, you know. They start to question themselves a little bit more.
Is it Spider-Man, one of those people? Because
I
really hope he continues being like,
I
oh man, I ate my Aunt May and Mary Jane.
That part with Iron Man where Iron Man is like, did you guys eat Magneto? And they're like, no, we didn't. And he's like, Spider-Man, how you doing? He's like, not great. I ate my aunt and my girlfriend. And he's like, you guys ate. He's being sad.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually thinking for himself.
Yeah.
That was so good.
I mean, yeah, it's so, like, Iron Man, you know, so pragmatic, you know, it's all like, how can I think that they might be lying to me, how can I make a little truth test?
The villains just being like, you ate without us, to the other villains is, like, a really good moment.
Yeah, like, I do like it, and how, like, every superhero's tired of it, because, like, all right, get over it, Spider-Man. Everybody ate somebody they loved.
Yeah.
Oh, man, like, that's weird. It's, like, especially when they talk about, like, basically every Avenger ate some of Jarvis, and then it's like, oh man, it's kind of messed up. He didn't even try to fight.
Okay,
it's like, oh, man.
That they had that line where it's like he sort of let us do it. I was like, oh, that's weird.
How far does the Avenger Butler contract go? Does it like if you become a zombie, you have to be willing to be eaten? Like,
I mean,
no,
not Marvel, but for Batman, do you think Alfred would do it?
No,
it's funny that you mention, because somewhat recently, DC Comics has done their own version of Marvel Zombies with DC Deceased.
Mm-hmm.
Very clever.
I like it. I like
it. Use your logo.
Yeah.
But Batman gets bitten and uses a freeze suit to stave off the infection. And then when he turns into a zombie, Alfred just shoots him.
Yeah.
Like, no trouble, just puts him in the ground. Like, it's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, though, that, like, Alfred, throughout his history has gotten, like, cooler and cooler, basically, where, like, they're all like, yeah, we gotta make this character, like, kind of, like, it's reasonable that he's hanging out with Batman, kind of thing.
So is it cooler for him to shoot Batman point blank and be like, whatever,
right,
about it? Or is it cooler for him to be like, I accept my death, whatever, and lay down?
I mean, up to interpretation, but I mean, like, just kind of having, like, some rudimentary fighting skills and stuff like that. But, like, Jarvis, he's beloved by the Avengers, but he's an old man, and he doesn't do anything.
He's just their pet old man.
Yeah, he's their pet old man.
Oh, that's sad, too, but in a different way.
Here's our regular human we keep around for funsies.
Who's not Hawkeye.
Now, that would make more sense if the zombies were like, yeah, he's a pet human that we keep around, not regular Avengers.
Man, yeah, that would actually be kind of funny if they, like, bit him but didn't eat him, and it's just all like, yeah, it's just like our old life.
Yeah, still around butlering, making tea that nobody's drinking.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, Giant Man keeping Black Panther around, but that wasn't... He was sedated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Still so weird to me, though.
Oh! Yeah. So I do want to ask, so... In the scale of, like, worst moments that Hank Pym has ever done in regards to his wife, eating her or beating her, which one is worse there?
I don't like how that rhymed.
Okay, well, how are you meaning this? Because it's like, are we... Because it's like... Especially with the Marvel universe, there's, or the Marvel multiverse rather, there's, like, infinite possibilities of characters. So, like, are we comparing the mainstream Marvel universe, Hank Pym, and his domestic abuse versus this zombie version biting off his head? Or okay, I'm gonna say the domestic abuse.
Oh, okay, all right. I don't know.
I think that they're pretty uncomparable.
I mean, he's a zombie at that point. If anybody gave him the chance, he probably would bite their head off. I feel like it's pretty normal behavior for him.
It was a very pragmatic solution where it's like, it wasn't just because it was his wife, where like he chose to bite her head off. Like, if anybody had discovered that he was keeping Black Panther alive strapped to a table, probably would have bitten their head off too.
Oh, okay.
True. Yeah.
So, yeah, beating your wife is definitely worse than potentially eating your wife when you're both zombies, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
it's a weird decision that you've made us ponder here, but I'm glad it came up.
No, I literally...
I'll take it a step further. I'll say that best Hank Pym is zombie Hank Pym. Middleist is mainstream Hank Pym. Worst is ultimate Hank Pym.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, technically, we don't know if zombie Hank Pym ever beat his wife.
True.
But we do know that ultimate and mainstream Hank Pym did.
I didn't know about mainstream Hank Pym. I only knew about Ultimate.
Oh yeah, it's
did?
that big like backhand panel. What do you mean? Whatever. We're getting kind of off point. It's
it's an
it's definitely
one.
like in the like Iron Man is an alcoholic.
He's just gonna
pretty much. Well, really only with the Wasp. I don't know if he's ever abused anybody else he's been with.
Has he been with anybody? Anyway, sorry. I am going against what we just said, which is moving on.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think this was not the first time that I read. Maybe the first time I read like all the collected versions, but definitely not the first time I've read the first story and Dead Days and the like sequel, like Zombie. And I definitely liked it better then. I don't like it as much now.
Mm-hmm.
Partially maybe because at that point I was reading them a bit more separated instead of back to back to back.
Okay.
Zombie gimmick got pretty old around like issue 3 of the sequel series.
Uh-huh.
So maybe that's just me.
Mm. Wait, so you mean like you reading all of the first arc of Fantastic Four, then the main event, and then the second arc of Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like the second like Ultimate Fantastic Four, where it's like I already don't like the Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already getting kind of tired of the zombies because like I get it, zombies they want to eat. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, I get it. Okay, sure.
Yeah. So,
and then like seeing them again, even though like they're technically different because they're like Galactus, like and eating like all the scrolls are like that should be interesting.
That part was once they like defeated Galactus, I was like, they felt kind of untouchable, so it wasn't. I felt like it kind of ruined the stakes.
Gotcha.
And so like partially because of that, like I'm not super interested in reading like the complete edition volume 2 or 3 because like where do you go from here at this point? Like the only like big character you haven't eaten are like Thanos, the Celestials, like the Living Tribunal. Like where do you go from we ate Galactus and then became Galactus?
I know that you mean that as like a not a question to be answered, but if my memory serves correctly, eventually they get like ported into bodies of their counterparts in alternate universes. So they no longer have the Galactus powers, and they're in a different universe to infect.
Sure.
I don't see how that works. Like, you don't teleport your zombie body to a new body. Like, so what? They're just
just the zombie brain.
Yeah,
the one that can be cut in half.
Actually, I do have a question. So, what kicks off this whole like, zombie virus? So that's what it is, virus. Was like this superhero who fell from the sky.
Yeah, that was one of the many Superman clones that Marvel has, and by Superman clones I don't mean like literally a clone of Superman, but like a copyright safe version kind of thing.
I was thinking it was either Sentry or Hyperion. Like that was the
It was
two.
Sentry.
Yeah, pretty sure it was Sentry.
Gotcha.
So how did Magneto do that? He just feels bad about it, but I don't actually understand.
So yeah, basically Sentry, like off panel, went to Magneto like through like in similar way that Reed talked to Ultimate Reed, was all like, basically like, hey, unleash me on the planet and I'll kill all the humans, but the mutants will be good, and then you can have your mutant utopia. I'll be fed. It'll be good.
The mutants won't die.
Yeah. Probably lied about being a zombie also. Probably said that he was going to kill the humans in some other way. I would suspect. And then so Magneto was like, yeah, sure. I'll do what you say to transport you over here.
I mean, if you look at Sentry, wouldn't you be able to tell if he's a zombie?
I assume that they were communicating in a way that he couldn't see.
Okay.
I don't know.
Reed Richards trickery kind of thing, like you were saying.
Right.
I look normal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know a lot about the Sentry character, but he's not necessarily a genius either. So I'm like, how did that get set up?
Magneto's just gullible.
Yeah. I do feel like I read like, all of the Marvel Zombie stuff at one point, and I feel like how it like ends is basically like zombified Sentry getting sent back in time to that universe, so it's like a constant loop.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't remember if that's a fact or not.
That's not a terrifying, deathless existence.
Yeah.
I mean, that does remind me of, like, a misconception that, like, I guess I took away from the first time I read this to now. Where it's like, I could have sworn that there was something in this book that talked about, like, only people with, like, metahuman powers or superheroes are, like, able to become the zombies. Like, everybody else, like, just gets eaten. But, like, I couldn't find any place that, like, specifically said that.
No. They basically...
I mean, the whole problem is that they just die too quickly, right? Like.
Well, yeah, but Hawkeye's still there. And Hawkeye's just a dude.
Not for long.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But...
Well, yeah, and that's what Shawenta, I think, is trying to say, is that basically, like, Nick Fury kind of posits that in Dead Days. He's all like, we're not sure if that's how this works, But, and basically, what seems to be the correct theory is that the people with superhuman powers are able to defend themselves, and certain heroes that don't have powers are also able to defend themselves and escape.
Okay.
So they have enough time to turn into the zombie, whereas if you're just a regular human, you get ripped apart immediately. Yeah. Like, yeah, you got bitten, but you got bitten like 60 times. There's not a lot left of you.
Yeah, Quicksilver just ran circles around you, chomping each time.
That was something else that was, like, kind of weird. Is, like, the powers that, like, the zombie versions get to keep, and then the ones that they lose. So, like, Quicksilver is obviously, like, still fast, but Wolverine doesn't get to keep healing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but Iron Man can still, like, use all of his suit stuff, even though, like, I assume you would have to be alive to do that.
Okay.
No. So with the
it's just clicking little keyboards in his suit.
With Wolverine, like, if it's a virus, I could see where he wouldn't be able to heal from that, or his healing ability wouldn't happen.
There's just no restorative life stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do other stuff. I can see where, like, Iron Man, maybe his suit would constantly be like, you kind of don't have a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I think you're not doing great. Like, his suit's just constantly warning him.
Mm-hmm. Life functions 0%. Just constantly blaring in his ears. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the only... Like, Hulk technically also has a healing factor to a certain extent, and his face gets all burnt up. Cosmically burnt. But he can still transform. Yeah. So, it's... It has a logic to it, mostly. Yeah.
Those scenes of, like, just Johnny saving that girl from the car. Worst. Don't worry, though. They were changed by Johnny dying of a terminal illness alien. I don't know.
Yeah.
So many shots from Fantastic Four. I'm just like, what is going on? These people are way too happy.
Yeah, I mean, if, like, not that I'm, like, really trying to convince you guys in particular to read, complete collection 2 and 3, but I think that there is a lot less the Marvel zombies showing up in other people's series and more like, their own kind of thing. There's like, I can't remember. Yeah, there's Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies Return, Marvel Zombies 3, and Marvel Zombies 4.
At some point, not to get too, zombie, but you are beating a dead horse at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you like you admitted, you were reading 400-ish pages back to back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was just like, I'd feel better maybe if there were a little more non-zombie stuff like interspersed, but
you did like that stuff, did you?
No,
right?
I didn't.
The Fantastic Four. But that was because it was a Fantastic Four for me.
I also just kind of don't like the Fantastic Four, even if they're not the ultimate version.
Pretty much. I really liked what I read. That sequel and that prequel and epilogue part, not that interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's kind of the reason why I don't know if I would want to go into a second volume, is because I was like, yeah, so it starts here and it ends here.
Mm-hmm.
And, problems there. Like, there's definitely problems I wanted them to explore more, like I said, dumping them back in their own world and being like, it's fine. But I do think, like, what you were saying about them having to go through, like, maybe I don't need to be a zombie in this specific way continuously, that's interesting enough.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem I do feel is I don't know if that was set up well enough in here for me to, like, realize that without, like, having somebody tell me.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point, yeah. And I think, actually, I'm kind of realizing I might have, like, so like I said earlier, I read most of these, most of the Marvel Zombie stuff, like in middle school, but I think I somehow managed to skip Marvel Zombies 2, so that's like a chunk that's like missing in my mind, where I'm like, what happens with Black Panther and the Asteroid M crew?
Like, gotcha.
And that also
that part where she's like, the part where she's like, they're like, it's not really safe. We're scanning right now, and she's like, I want to take my baby on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
You dummy.
I did think that was dumb, but then I realized that they didn't have any escape pods. They only had the asteroid to land on Earth, so it was basically all or nothing. They had to decide, go to Earth or stay in space. And that wasn't made clear, but it became, I realized, because I was like, what the heck? Why did they even do this? Like, are they just dumb? Or what?
She just really wanted to show off that baby.
Yeah, but no, it was, they couldn't complete the scans unless they were on the surface of the Earth, and the only space capsule they had was the entire asteroid. So they all had to go.
That's really risky, right? They're like, I can't check the Earth planet to see if we're safe until we land and are within reach.
Yeah, and also it still doesn't explain, like, them, like, I don't even know what her name is, but the mother of Black Panther's child, like, taking him out into the open. Like, you never know if, like, Quicksilver Zombie's still around. Just zoom.
Yeah. Dingo got your baby.
Hey, and there's no vital signs. That's it.
That line was not great, was it, for zombies? You're like, there's no heartbeats within this distance. Yeah. Like, yeah, they're zombies.
But I guess, I mean, like, the other part is, like, there's also, like, no motion anywhere on the Earth, which implies that, like, the zombies also ate, like, a bunch of, like, mammals and reptiles, too.
Gotcha.
Then does that mean, like, that they ate the fish in the sea as well?
No. Do they eat the bees that are pollinating the flowers?
Like, so, and if that's the case, then, like, why do you even want to go to the Earth at this point? Like, what's there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you get out of this?
That's like saying there's no wind. Like,
okay, their scans were probably looking for human speed and sized motion.
Well, yeah, but if a bear is just lumbering around, it's gonna look like a human. Did they eat all the bears?
If you see a monkey in the dark.
There you go.
Yeah, what about the gorillas?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, does that mean that there is the chance for zombie bears and zombie monkeys? Do they need to
I don't know,
worry
Cody.
about that?
You've read ahead.
Except for I haven't read
hinting at
Marvel
something.
Zombies 2.
Oh, that's the
so
one
they
with
bring
all
in
the zombie animals, right?
Yeah.
It was the zombie zoo volume, and then never again.
That's great.